All right, everybody, and we're back with another episode of When It Rays, It Pours. I'm Keith Ray.
It's John Ray over here. What's going on, everybody?
Well, John, I think we sure did get a hell of a Christmas gift in that so many of our friends and family told us that they've been watching the show. Yeah. And, boy, I mean, that just made me feel great, knowing that we've got some people out there watching that... and their thoughts on the show were great too. You know, they had some ideas for us and things like that. Some may be implemented, others may not be. You know, it really depends. But I mean, it's good to be back. It's good that the world didn't end like exactly on Christmas. You know.
Yeah, you still got a year before your prediction can be
exactly. I'm no Jim Baker, okay? Sure, I have an appreciation for how he likes to spend his time in hotel rooms, but other than that, I'm not going to tell you a specific date the world's going to end. Then I'm going to look like a real idiot if it doesn't happen. Then I gave myself an entire year window for the world to end before I have to eat any crow. That's pretty good.
Yeah. You won't mind eating crow. You don't turn down too many meals.
That's true. That's true. We have been eating good over the holiday.
I don't know if I ate that much red meat in that amount of time ever in my life.
Yeah. We were out at our aunt and uncle's, and they had some porterhouse steaks for us. Those were pretty fantastic. And then last night you made a roast, was it?
It's a rib roast.
Yeah. Rib roast. It was good. Yeah, I don't know when the last time I ate that good was. You know, probably the last time I got to go to a Christmas out there. But one thing I did want to just touch on for a second, because this week wasn't really heavy in like topics to discuss, like in the news. The news was kind of light this week. I wouldn't say that there was no news, but very little news this week. I mean, it's pretty much just the stimulus, what else? Fantasy football. And I saw an article about Little Richard's homosexuality, which I didn't know was news.
Yeah, that's old news.
You know, I mean, he dead, you know,
yeah.
Like he's been dead for 6 months now, and they still think it's important to talk about how he be fucking.
How dare they?
I mean, that's a level of fame, right? Like you've been cold for a minute.
The guy isn't here to defend himself, so I don't want anybody besmirching his name.
Exactly. Well, it's not the... Well, he claimed in his latter years that he wasn't, in fact, a homosexual, but merely...
I think you just like to look pretty.
And there's no crime in that.
No.
You know? There's no such thing as toxic sissiness.
No.
You know? Like, you can... Pretty much any level of sissy is non-toxic. But we'll get to that a little later on in the show. I thought it was weird. Like, Politico is writing an article about Little Richard's fuck interests. Like, I don't understand how, and it's like their leading story. It's their most trending story right now on the internet is, and I just, you know, I was watching that Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, another it's a new movie on Netflix.
Oh, I saw on the Netflix queue.
Yeah, she was a gay performer. She was a lesbian blues musician, and not very nice. I gotta say, she wasn't. She was no lipstick lesbo.
You watched the whole thing?
Oh yeah, man.
How was it?
It's good. It's kind of like Glenn Ross. It's like a play made into a movie. And I thought they did a very good job on it. It was Denzel Washington's company, and they did a good job. All the actors in it were powerful and moving. A lot of good monologues throughout the film.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, I've had to come up with ways to kill time around the holidays, because I thought that, you know, with my newfound status in life, being the VP and all, that like this Christmas was going to be perfect, but I forgot one crucial thing. I'm still single, John. And believe it or not, it's what's the point in being a massive success if you have no one to share it with? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. You gotta be a little bit more successful before you start saying massive, I think.
Massive success is too much. Yeah. It's okay. So
more successful than living in a shed.
I am definitely more successful than living in a shed. That's the truth. I've come a long way. I mean, and during a pandemic, it's just crazy to me. And a lot of people were asking me after they saw last week's episode, basically like, how did you go from being, on the lower end of society, economics wise, being part of the working poor or impoverished, to being this, titan of industry, vice president of a company, and I told him, it's like how you get to Carnegie Hall. It's a one-word answer, nepotism. Yeah. That's how you do's it in the New Depression, okay?
Yeah. Rely on your family.
Yeah, because otherwise it's like, I've got a buddy out in LA. He called me over the holidays, and like he's probably the most successful guy I ran around with. Got himself a nice apartment, in his name. No sublet there. He just applied for an apartment, got first and last together, passed the felony and credit check and moved in. And because of how bad things have gotten out there, his apartment looks like a fucking soup kitchen this holiday with all the people ain't got nowhere to go.
Yeah.
So it's like being a success here is good because you don't have, 38,000 people on your block sleeping in a tent.
Yeah. See, this is the benefits of having a job for more than 2 weeks.
Do you think that's it? Was it really my problem all along? The fact that I just would quit jobs so willy-nilly? Stick-to-itedness?
Yeah. Stick-to-itedness.
Well, the thing is, I really did enjoy bouncing from job to job and essentially feeling like really getting jobs was my job.
Yeah.
That felt kind of free in a way, but if I'd have known all it really took was about 3 months of just not quitting a job for me to become a CFO, I would have probably done that sometime in the last decade, But like I said, it's all for naught, man. I'm still alone. You know what I mean? There's really no point in doing well if you've got nobody to share it with. And it's not like any of the presidential pardons went to any of the girls in my life. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? They're all still locked up.
It's hard to get Tinder dates during the pandemic, huh?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that. This week, actually, I did get a Tinder. I'd matched on Tinder with a vampire. Very good for the self-esteem, gotta say. I asked her if her fangs were real, and she was like, sorry to disappoint, but no. And I was like, well, it's not a huge disappointment. I gotta say
I'm okay with them being fake.
Yeah, I wasn't like, oh man, I hope this chick is really into filing her own teeth.
You are kind of looking kind of goth. You got all black, fucking black heart necklace.
Well, it's purple. If you let the light shine through it, but it looks black. But that was a gift from the woman that blackened my heart.
Oh, okay.
So it kind of makes sense. But it was odd to me, like when I talked with this vampire lady, she was asking me all kinds of questions. It felt very interviewy, like she wanted to tick boxes off and make sure that I was like an all right guy. And it's like you walk around day to day in a fucking costume from a Halloween store. And you got to vet me.
Yeah, I don't think I could ever mess with some vampire chick.
I mean, I kind of dig that whole goth, dark, vibe. That's all right with me and everything. But it's the whole, like, her, I just messaged her immediately upon getting the match, and then I'm like reading her profile, and it's all about toxic masculinity and pansexuality, which I don't know do you know about what pansexual is?
That's what, like, you don't identify as anything or something?
No, that's
that you'll have sex with anything.
Yeah, pretty much. It's
you like boys, girls, transgenders, that you'll take what you can get.
Well, but my whole problem with the whole idea of pansexuality is it doesn't seem very hep, because if transgendered men are men and transgendered women are women, then aren't you really just a bisexual? But then again, if you're a bisexual, that's not something that you can pretend is interesting about you.
Bisexual is too passé. They're not going to get enough attention, so they got to create another word.
Exactly. It's a way of getting attention without earning it.
Yeah.
Look at me. I'm even more different. No, you're just an equal opportunity slut like every bisexual has been since the dawn of time. You know what I mean? You don't hear about a lot of bisexual people that don't live polyamorous lifestyles. You know what I mean? At some point, people usually settle down with one or the other.
Yeah.
Or they stay swinging, But anyway, I don't want to get too far off topic, but like I didn't understand why her Tinder profile needed to be a fucking mission statement, Like it just seemed like a lot of words that have me triggered, because I try and be a good person, just because I'm a man who is white that has lived the life that I don't know. I just don't think of myself as a victimizer just by virtue of birth. And that's
where you're wrong.
I know, John. I know. And that's probably why I'm single too.
Yeah.
If you think about it, in the intellectual circles that I run in, I'm talking people that hang out in bars in Newcastle, Indiana, people that hang out in bars in Galveston, Texas, people that hang out in bars in the San Fernando Valley, the real upper crust of intellectuals in America. I feel like maybe I am too macho,
Dude,
like
you'd be better off hanging out with dolphins then, if you want to talk about intellect.
You think dolphins are smarter than most of the people I hang out with?
Yeah, probably so. They're pretty smart. So pigs are pretty smart too.
Well, just today I was able to learn the difference between toxic and non-toxic masculinity off of a hillbilly girl's Facebook feed. It was pretty cool. She posted like a little, how people love to make lists, and it's like, this is bad, this is not bad. That was the kind of list that they made. And I thought maybe we could talk a little bit about some of the details here if you were interested. Like on the list of things that are masculine but not toxic. Mm-hmm. And you're really going to be you're going to see all the Moreland, Indiana in this girl's mind when you hear this. Things that are not toxically masculine, beers with the boys. There you go. So if you want to do a Hank Hill impression in your backyard with your best buddies, that passes. Not an affront to womanhood. Okay,
I can get down with that.
I was pleased to see that, and you're gonna love number 2, barbecuing. Okay. Barbecuing gets a pass, not toxically masculine.
Toxic, okay.
Yeah, man. Toxic is one of those words that people just kind of lobby around like like narcissist. You know, chances are if you hear somebody using that word, they are. You know, you hear somebody constantly calling things toxic. That's probably their MO, being fucking toxic. Hunting and fishing. I did not know that the feminist community was on board with hunting and fishing, but I'm happy to find out. Playing sport, which I didn't think was necessarily a male thing. You know, I thought women athletes.
A lot of women's leagues, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, women athletics has been around as long as men athletics, hasn't it?
No.
Oh, I didn't know that. Was there
It's been around for a long time.
Oh, okay. Was there like any kind of struggle for women to get into sports or to have their own leagues? Was that
There's
something?
a whole legislation on it. I think it's called Title IX or something.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. See, you learn something new every day. Well, I guess, I mean, if there was such a drive within women to participate in sport, it being a naturally toxic part of masculinity wouldn't really work.
Yeah, I don't think there was a lot of females playing sports till probably a little after the turn of the century, probably.
Oh, okay.
Early 1900s.
Early 1900s was when it really started taking off.
Yeah, because there was like famous women golfers and tennis players and shit back then.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we could look up when they had females in the Olympics, but I wouldn't think it would have been till after 1900 or so.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I mean, I really don't know the history of sports all that well. I was really kind of taken aback by this next one, though. It says taking a piss. And I was like, I wonder if
don't women do that too?
Yeah, I didn't know if maybe she was like using the British word for busting balls, you know, like ribbing and things like that. But taking a piss is definitely, I mean, in the literal sense, it's definitely something both men and women participate in.
Yeah, I don't know that all this stuff is necessarily masculinity.
Yeah, it feels to me like a lot. And the last one, of course, having a beard. So good.
Thank God.
I know,
we're
right?
allowed to have facial hair.
That's why I read this list, dude. I was like, man, if there's anything on this list that I actively participate in now that is like, you know, an affront to womanhood or, you know, trying to bring down women or, you know, steal power from a queen out there, you know, I don't want to do it. So here are some of the things that definitely is toxic masculinity. Okay. Treating women like sexual objects is toxic masculinity.
That's not masculinity either. That's just being a dick.
Yeah. Or being a heterosexual, like a person being the object of your sexual fantasies isn't necessarily.
Once again, any lesbian could treat women like objects.
That's true. And enjoy them as more for their status than perhaps as an actual object of love and affection. Mm-hmm. In fact, that was one of the big things that I saw in that Ma Rainey movie. She was real hard on her bitch, you know, like very controlling and demanding, and also married to a straight woman, you know what I mean? So like forcing this woman via, you know, monetary manipulation and status to be her girlfriend effectively. She's like, oh, you go back to being a poor old hoe if you don't want to be with me. Otherwise, she was telling her what to do, this and that. Very Jackie Gleason era husband, lady husband that Ma Rainey was. She was a very to the moon Alice kind of gal. But I'm getting away from the list here. Oh, we can go lad culture and locker room talk culture, which I didn't know. I'm assuming that is based on the whole grab 'em by the pussy thing from back in 2016. This is the only time I ever really heard anybody talking about locker room talk. But is that
talking with your buddies, man? That's all it is.
Is it just like, but about women?
Yeah,
like about.
Well, it doesn't have to be about women, but a lot of times it would be.
Yeah, you know, I mean, you get 3 or 4 people together with a common interest occasionally, though.
Especially locker room talk, because you know when you're standing around with a bunch of naked dudes, you want to talk about chicks so they don't think that you're trying to eye them.
Yeah, there is kind of a phobia of being gazed upon in the locker rooms, which I never felt that in the locker room environments that I've been in. And I've also never heard anybody really talk all that much in the locker rooms. But I get what they're referring to here is, I guess, like pussy talk, like, hey, I was fucking this broad the other night and she was really giving it to me. You imagine like any conversation Dice Clay had before 91. It's just like a very Fonzie kind of conversation. Well, okay, so that's toxic masculinity. I guess I could see where there might be some kind of denigration had in those conversations. Here was a good one. Resorting to violence as a means of conflict resolution. Would you say that that's toxic masculinity?
I don't know that any of this stuff is the definition of masculinity. I mean, so
it's a male trait to resolve conflict with violence is essentially what this.
Not every man does. That's what I mean.
Well, I think that's definitely true. I don't think for one second that every man out there is ready to do that.
Some women are violent too.
Well, I think what the lady, woman, whatever her preferred pronouns are, that wrote this was really saying here was more that, like, if a woman was to resort to violence, say, to resolve a conflict, she would be emulating a negative trait of men, as opposed to being her true womanly self, which of course is always, a den mother, the queen of the Native American village type, very soft-spoken and gentle, giving. They get all the good traits ascribed to them, and we get resolving conflict with violence.
Is there toxic and non-toxic femininity?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that, John, because I made a little list. Okay. I thought that, this list just seemed so stupid and written with such a closed-minded idea of what humanity is, and that men and women are both a part of humanity, and that it's not two columns, men and women. It's people. You know what I mean? So I decided that, but hold on. Let's get through the list real quick before we get on to some of these toxic femininities. Using the term boys will be boys to excuse atrocious behavior. I agree with that. I thought if the behavior is truly atrocious, then you shouldn't use boys will be boys to dismiss the behavior. But if it's something that you can't be convicted for in a court of law, you're going to have to say something about why we got to let them get away with it. I mean, I'm not saying that boys should get a pass by virtue of having a penis, but people misbehave, and boys will be boys is the equivalent of it is what it is, It's not really
But when you're saying toxic masculinity, you're almost saying the same thing. You're saying that all masculine men do these things.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah, I would never hit a woman or disrespect a woman like that or rape somebody or do any of that shit.
We're just about to get to it. Old domestic violence. It's on the list. I was like,
I never put
domestic
my hand on a
violence.
woman.
Yeah, me neither. And to say that
That doesn't make me non-masculine, though.
Yeah,
That's what I don't think. It's just too much of a generalization.
Essentially,
But that's what you're saying is when you're saying being masculine is toxic. That's just the same. The same boys will be boys. You're saying all men do that. All masculine people will do this.
if you don't do it,
that.
you a sissy.
Yeah.
You wearing little Richard's panties. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't like that. It's almost like a dare.
Can be toxic. Like it's like you said. There's bad people in every subset of humanity.
Yeah.
Men, women, black, white, Asian, anybody can be bad. Like,
and I would say on average, there's about the same amount per capita in each group. You know, I think the majority of people are good people. And if you go through any broad brushstroke of a group, you're going to find a swath of very wonderful people and a minority group of assholes and predators. And that's just pretty much that. That's just pretty much what we got to deal with as part of the human condition.
yeah.
So domestic violence, which definitely, see, here's the problem with domestic violence being on the list of things that are definitely toxic masculinity, is that it assumes that just because when men commit domestic violence, the outcome is more brutal and horrific to look at, that we're somehow the majority perpetrator of this crime. When I know men all over America, and I've been one myself, that's been hit by his girlfriend again and again, and I didn't even consider not dating her anymore. You know? Like, it wasn't like, for any woman, it would be the biggest red flag ever for a man to be a woman beater. But for a man, it's not even on the registry of I should leave because it didn't hurt that bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's no less violent. It's no less bad. It's just guys are kind of used to getting hit anyway. So, I got punched after she had one too many spritzers and then clocked me. Well, it's not like I got a shiner from it. Maybe we could just have a conversation later and work things out. You know?
Beating up on a woman isn't that's not an example of masculinity. That's just an example of a scumbag. Like,
yeah, just a genuinely bad person anyway. Somebody that would beat up on their lover, their partner, their husband or wife.
Yeah.
It's just a sign of a victimizer, you know? Well, and that leaves us with it's toxically masculine to stifle your emotions, which I thought that was, once again, I mean, different cultures handle emotions differently. In fact, if you're from one culture, you might be encouraged to be very closed off about your emotions, whereas other ones encourage people to be very open and get that out, you know. It really, and that also goes across gender lines as well, you know. And the last one, of course, the crown jewel of what is toxically masculine, homophobia. I didn't know that was a guys only game.
Yeah.
I've heard quite a lot of ladies yell the F word, and I don't mean fuck, you know?
Yeah.
It just, that's like racism. That's how you're raised and your life experience, and that can affect anybody, whether they're a guy or a girl. But I guess because we're most likely to hit them with a pipe in a dark parking lot, we're the fucking ones who are behind fucking homophobia as well. You know, it was all guys at the end of Boogie Nights, so we're responsible.
Yeah, I just think toxic masculinity, it's just too much generalizations, you know. It's just To me, masculine and feminine is more like physical, biological traits more than, that's what I mean. Anybody can be a bad person. It doesn't have to do with whether you're masculine or feminine or not.
Well, tell me what you think of some of the. It seemed to me that almost everything on this list, from both the nots and the ises, are pretty much all. The girls do like the same shit essentially, and like you could
A lot of them.
or you could at least find pretty much equivalents for them. Like take for instance the stuff in the not category. You've got like beer with the boys, wine with the girls. Barbecuing, brunch, hunting and fishing, hair and nails. And I know that sounds kind of stereotypical, but I was trying to go with things that are, supposed to be specifically feminine. With playing sports, I just put playing sports.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like it's just something we all do now.
Yeah, you ever heard of Serena Williams? Come on.
She's a little masculine, I gotta say. Or is that Venus? Which one had the tree trunk legs?
That's Serena.
Oh, okay. I mean, I wouldn't fuck with her. You know what I mean?
She'll whoop your ass real quick.
Just to finish out the knots, taking a piss. How about pretending that you don't shit? That's something girls do. That's like, and also, like I said, that taking a piss could have been like some kind of joke about how, like using the British for busting balls. So let's just to cover all my bases.
Where did you say this girl was from?
Moreland.
Yeah, she ain't using nothing that's British, man.
Yeah, I know, right? So I was like,
she likes gin.
If she did mean, yeah, Moreland, Indiana, pretty much just has the fair and pills. But if you've never been to a fair on pills, have I got a town for you?
There you
go. One of the things. So I was thinking, like, just to cover all my bases, if she does mean busting balls by that, then I would say maybe gossiping. But then again, gossiping is not a female trait. It's something that all people do, men and women, no matter what kind, what labels can be ascribed. We all gossip. It's how we understand our environment. It's a necessary part of its survival. Mm-hmm. I think I glossed over that one, so we'll just skip it. And then having a beard, I was like, well, shaving legs. Like, it's not, I wouldn't say, having a beard, not shaving your legs. Because that's the whole thing is like, clearly this is about, the whole gender issue, and women being mistreated. I mean, it's supposed to be her feminist statement. So I just never understood why having a bush was so feminist. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. First off, if the protest is in your pants, nobody can see it. It just never made any sense to me. Not that I'm against Bush. I don't really care. Either way, women can have never shaved their legs. It's not going to stop guys from wanting to fuck. So it's kind of a moot point. But some of these things, like treating women like sex objects, how about treating men like they're your own personal ATM account? You don't hear about a lot of guys going around doing that. Although I've certainly been an Atma from time to time, and I'm poor.
Yeah, no kidding.
It's crazy, John, because it's not like I've ever thought like, oh, this woman's with me for my money. But somehow I'm always broke when they leave me. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's just a coincidence.
Just putting labels like that on stuff is just it's laziness. Like, instead of trying to actually think about the issues and try and fix them. You just want to say toxic masculinity. Well, you're in that box now. That's all that is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a way to pigeonhole people and ascribe actions to people that never performed them.
Yeah.
It's conviction by virtue of birth. You know? I don't like the whole division between men and women when it's so clear that the real enemy is the rich. Now, I know that I'm trying to be rich. I've got the title of someone who might be soon to be rich, but doesn't matter how rich I get, I'll still tell the people like that, like as deep as they let me into the upper echelons of society, I'm still gonna have to let everybody know who's really fucking them. Then there was that lad culture one, right? The locker room talk, and it's like, what would the toxic feminine counterpart to that be? I would say this whole empowerment of hoe culture that's going on right now. Have you noticed that it's like supposed to, like, you're a bad feminist unless you think every girl should have an OnlyFans?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or like Lizzo, everybody applauding her for being fat and wearing almost no clothes wherever she goes, up on the Jumbotron at the Lakers game with her ass hanging out and shit. Then they get mad at her when she goes on a diet and loses a bunch of weight.
You're no longer a champion of your obesity.
Yeah.
You're getting healthy.
Are you going to support her, or you just want to empower her so that when she fits your narrative? Like, dude, her doctor probably told her if she didn't lose weight, she's going to die.
Yeah.
You know what I
mean?
I mean,
any doctor in their right mind would.
When you eat pounds of Skittles every day, you probably got diabetes.
God damn,
and that ain't good.
Is that one of her things? She likes Skittles?
I don't know. Oh, something like that.
Something like that. Maybe a Starburst.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't keep up too much on the dietary habits of people whose music I don't find good in the first place, but I did understand. I understood like why people loved Lizzo. I mean, just a fucking big greasy BBW. Like, first off, women just look good all sweaty. You know?
All I'm saying is, I mean, if she wants to be fat and eat junk food all day and talk about it and be championed for it, that's fine. But you can't, she's got to be able to live her own life. And if she decides she wants to lose weight, just because now she's not the hero for all the overweight people anymore, that doesn't mean it's not what she needs to do for her life, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
She shouldn't be fat and lose one of her legs to diabetes just to champion your
just to keep people's
narrative.
Like keep people's self-esteem up.
Yeah.
You know, here, I'm so glad there's so many young girls out there feel good about themselves. And she's walking on the stage with her peg leg up under the arm shoulder.
Like a pirate and shit.
Yeah, dude, that's no hero to nobody. If you're resembling a pirate, I submit people shouldn't look up to you. And I'm not saying like, oh, amputees can't ever be role models. But it's
yeah, but I mean, I understand that's nice for her. You know, for people that kids that are overweight that listen to her, and she kind of makes them feel better about themselves. But that doesn't mean she shouldn't be. They're still their role model, and they can follow her lead, dude, and get themselves healthier. I mean, you can't expect somebody to do something that's bad for their health just to stop fat shaming, like.
Well, as everybody who watches our show knows that we're 100% pro fat shaming. Like, there is definitely no room in our hearts for the fat. And a lot of people out there may get offended on my behalf. You know, you bust my chops about my weight all the time and stuff. Maybe there's somebody out there going, oh, poor Keith. I can't believe his brother made fun of how fat he is again this week. Well, clearly I'm okay with it, you know, for two reasons. Number one, I know I'm fat. And number two, and I'll let you in on a little something here. Believe it or not, fat people hate fat people more than anybody. Okay? I can't stand fat people. People think that we have some kind of solidarity, and Tinder sure as shit thinks we want to fuck each other, which ain't the case at all. But I'll tell you right now, we hate fat people. Fat people hate fat people more than skinny people do. Skinny people be going around building ramps for us and fucking developing medications that burn fat so you can still eat 3 Baconators every day and lose weight because you're hopped up on fucking speed, you know, and your shit's pumping. Skinny people want to coddle the fat. Fat people I see a fucking big 600-pound person walking into Walmart, and you're just like, fucking, ooh, it's horrible. We have this natural reaction to somebody who's clearly killing themselves and right in front of your eyes. You know, it's not pleasant to look at unless it's all greased up like Lizzo was. And really, the root issue and the why, at least for myself as a fat person, I say I hate fat people, is because, like, especially the super obese, you know, it's like for every pound that far overweight that you are, it makes me look that much worse by comparison. You know what I mean? People think it would make you look better by comparison, but no. You're in the same group, okay? And it's like, I don't want to be associated in any way with all that mess, you know? Fucking people that can't get out of bed because they are the bed now, you know? Fat ladies growing into the toilet. Have you ever seen how some fat women will get this, not something I see on a lot of guys, but anyway, fat women will get this, like, roll on their forehead, where it like looks like their face is trying to grow itself shut so they can't eat anymore.
Shit on the back of their neck too.
Oh, well, men rock some fucking straight up like 7 or 8 brats off the back of their neck sometimes. Some it look like a fucking ATM on the back of their head and shit.
Yeah.
But we've gotten away from toxic masculinity and gotten into what I think was really where we were destined to end up, talking about fatties. But John, didn't you have some story the offline from today?
Oh yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that, man.
This is crazy shit. This guy from Philadelphia is like a 20-year-old Instagram comedian, whatever that means.
I'm
guess
not
he's probably
familiar.
a TikToker. I mean, I know real comedians, but
So like the adaptation of the Vine people, I guess.
Yeah. So his name was get this Wooks Biddy.
Oh, I think I might have actually
All one
been.
word.
I think I might have been friends with him on Facebook at one time. Him and Cadillac Lewis, you know. But so he's taken a picture with a microphone before. Tell me about him.
It's hard to imagine somebody being a comedian named Wooks Biddy because you're starting off at a disadvantage. You can never be funnier than just your name.
That's true.
That's the most ridiculous name I ever heard in my life.
Wooks Biddy.
So,
shout out to Wooks Biddy.
It was the most ridiculous name I ever heard in my life. Then it turns out he was dissing some Chicago rappers by the name of FBG Duck and Tuka.
Okay, I'm not familiar with these Chi-Town players, but
FBG Duck is a great name. I like that.
it sounds like Sounds like the Mighty Ducks.
Like, remember when, like, rap names were, like, Snoop Dogg and Nate Dogg and Warren G?
Yeah.
And now it's, like, XXX Tentacion and Tekashi 69 and FBG Duck.
Yeah, they sound kind of like AMI handles from back in the day.
So anyway, so he's dissing these guys.
Okay.
I have no quarrels with FBG Duck or Tuka. Well, they're dead, but I'm not dissing them. I'm just telling the story. So he's on the street after this doing another video, and a bunch of gang members that represent the Chicago O Block, I believe.
Okay. Where these rappers are from?
Yeah, they killed this dude on Instagram Live.
What?
Yeah.
Well, how'd they kill him?
Shot him.
They
shot him dead.
So you're telling me he was shot and is now deceased?
Yep. They did him like they were Doc Holliday at the OK Corral. Blasted him.
Damn. And he was probably like, hey, all my fans out there. He had the selfie stick going and everything.
Yeah.
Like full blown, just perpetrating, trying to be an influencer. Oh, man. Well, I got to say, John, that just being differentiated as a Instagram comedian as opposed to just being a comedian is enough for me to not claim this motherfucker at all.
Yeah,
and to be totally fine with whatever the O Block had to say on the subject.
Just a warning to all of you Instagram Live comedians.
It's a dangerous
that are listening
game
right now. Please don't diss any dead Chicago rappers, and definitely don't diss Twista.
Yeah, because he's alive.
Because I might pop a cap in that ass.
That's true. John keeps his strap, and if he ain't got that, you could get the hammer, motherfuckers.
Hell yeah.
Oh, man.
Cool.
Right on. Yeah, fucking gunned down on IG Live.
Yeah, that's sad, man. And it wasn't even a cop that did it.
Oh, shit. Yeah, no. This was a different kind of gun violence.
Yeah.
It's just another gang.
Yeah.
You know, the cops are a gang. O Block's a gang. You know, and if you piss the gang off,
This might be curtains.
yeah, that could be case closed. That's why I've just always tried to be respectful around people who are killers.
Well, it's like I said, you know, the man's not around to defend himself. He's dead. You don't besmirch the dead on IG Live.
No. Well, really, I mean, we talk about a lot of people and how they dead and shit, but like, if you're besmirching dead people who got killers in their family, maybe you're fucking up a little bit. It's like, I think we could probably have gone in a lot harder on Little Richard, with all due respect. I mean, I love the guy. Some of my favorite rock and roll
I saw that
ever
article
made.
on Politico, too. It was right under the Little Richard story.
Oh, really?
No, I didn't like that.
Oh, okay. God damn it. You and your fucking Sykes. It was just wild to me. Like, what I'm saying is we could have gone in a lot harder, but I don't think that anybody in the Little Richard camp is going to come around taking names. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Little Richard doesn't have shooters out there, I don't think.
No.
He's a chill dude.
If anything, I bet you we could hang with Little Richard's people. You know what I mean? They would probably dig us.
Probably.
We like a lot of the same tunes. I know every word to almost every one of Little Richard's songs because I was just obsessed with him when I was a little kid because he was so loud, and it was like he was just so obviously the biggest influence on CCR and John Fogerty, and I loved CCR from the first time I ever heard them. So when I heard him, I was like, oh, and this was before that? I bet you they were listening to this guy, you know?
Mm-hmm. Probably. Yeah, I think Fogerty was in all kinds of shit.
Well, I think this next coming week, we're going to have a new guest on the podcast. Over the weekend at Christmas, we were talking with our cousin Jonathan. He said he's going to come on the podcast, so that'll be something for the people to look forward to for next week.
Yeah, that'll be a fun episode.
Hell yeah. I'm looking forward to that.
Get ready for the masculinity.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what our podcast needs is another John Ray on the fucking show. But I am really looking forward to it, and I wanted to tease that a little bit. And I also really, I know we don't really dedicate these episodes to anybody, but in an effort to not be single for the rest of my life, I would like to dedicate this week's episode to all the ladies out there doing time this holiday season. I hate that you weren't pardoned, no Christmas pardon for you. Because the truth is, for every lady out there doing time on some bullshit, there's a man back home on a hall pass wishes you were here. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Hold on.
Oh, what?
I would like to dedicate this episode to FBG Duck.
And all the O-Town players.
Rest in peace.